Welcome to the Downtown Madison Happenings podcast, where we hear from our members and learn something new about downtown Madison. This podcast is brought to you by the law firm of Carlson, Black, O'Callaghan, and Battenberg, located in downtown Madison. Carlson Black specializes in commercial real estate, business, and tax law. Carlson Black is proud to represent many DMI members in helping build a vibrant and inclusive downtown. Speaking of building a vibrant and inclusive downtown, we are so thankful for our guest today. Joe Loehnis, the CEO of the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra, is here today to talk about the arts downtown, concerts on the square. We've got a lot of important subjects to cover. Hello, Joe. How are you doing today?
Hey, Jason. It's great to be here. Madeline, thank you for having me on the show today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to all of you about some of the things going on this summer downtown.
Yes, to say the least, you literally have run one of the largest events here in downtown every single year. Before we get to that, though, let's just talk about the Chamber Orchestra. What is the impact you all have on the community as a really, really long-serving and vibrant arts partner here downtown, but out throughout our entire community? So what is the impact that the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra has on downtown Madison and our community?
Yeah, it's a great and important question. This institution's been around about 60 years, and at the core, we think of ourselves as using music to transform communities, and that's a broadly defined vision. But when you really think about it, the arts and culture is sort of the intersection where people can come together, make meaning about whether it's music, whether it's dance, whether it's spoken word, and really think about their role in society. So, we think of ourselves as a change maker, not only with Concerts on the Square, but everything we do. We're one of 10 resident companies at Orchestra Center, but over the last 20 years, we've expanded outside of Dane County to touch other parts of Wisconsin, but the vast majority of our work is here in Madison, Wisconsin. And just a little, education moment, the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra is distinct and unique from a symphony. A chamber orchestra can be anywhere from 4 players all the way up to about 25 to 30, whereas a symphony, when you close your eyes and think symphony, you think a full stage, 100 players. We have 30 core players, and our main performances will flex down all the way to 5 or 6 players and all the way up to 40 or 50 that you see on Concerts on the Square. So what we do and our products are very malleable. They're very nimble. We can scale up and scale down, which is interesting because when you go around town, some people confuse us with the Madison Symphony or think we're the Wisconsin Symphony Orchestra. So I always like to provide that little education piece that we are chamber orchestra, and that comes with that is a lot of flexibility in what we offer to our community.
You offer so much to the community in impacting economics, culture, quality of life, the vibrancy downtown. You do so much for the downtown, but I can imagine the last 2 years have been very difficult for your organization and for the arts in general. How did COVID-19 impact the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra and arts organizations in general?
Yeah, I think the first thing that's important to call out is it was devastating for the gig musician. We are a per service orchestra. The musicians get certain amount of services each year, and every artist struggled through the pandemic. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure we did as an institution was to make sure our musicians were not only taken care of financially, but also give them the opportunities to play, because playing music to them is more than just collecting a paycheck. It feeds their soul and kind of feeds their reason for doing the work that they do. So we worked exceptionally hard to not only find the resources to pay them, but also find ways to make them, give them that opportunity to play. So some of the things we focused on right away were education programs, because that is a key part of what we do. So we wanted to make sure we kept some of those youth programs going. So we converted that to some digital opportunities with some of our partners like Big Brother, Big Sister, and Lucier Community Center. But pandemic hits in March, we have an outdoor summer series. Now this is 2020, no vaccine, masking was sort of coming online. We didn't have testing. but we had the advantage of having outdoor performances baked into our regular season. So having that gave us the ability to plan. And I think it was August 25th, we played our first concert at Bree Stevens Field for 25 people. And I think at the time we were one of only 2 orchestras in the entire country that was able to mount a full-fledged orchestra concert. And there was so much collective participation with the musicians, the board, and the staff and the community to figure it out. Like every industry, we had to figure it out. And to be able to play on that August 25th for 25 people and the people in the surrounding apartments coming down and watching, it was like this triumphant, like, we did it. Like, we pushed through and did it. And that sort of innovative and sort of disruptive mindset pushed us through into the following season, where we did an entire chamber series at the Sylvie, partnering with a local downtown business. And going back to my statement about what a chamber orchestra is, we flexed down the number of players that were playing on stage from 35 down to anywhere from 3 to 10, so we could distance on stage. So we took the equity and assets of a chamber orchestra and used that to our advantage to continue to present concerts digitally with a pared down orchestra. So that was our key. Find ways to keep our players working, keeping them compensated, and learn a little bit along the way when we hopefully come out of COVID, what can we do differently to be a more resilient and nimble organization.
And you did this all within the first sort of year or so of your leadership of the chamber as well, which I think is very impressive. And if you don't know Joe, he's one of the most creative, innovative people. And you see that in what they did to ensure that the artists continue to have work, that our community continued to receive the arts, and to do it in an innovative way. I just, kudos to you. One of the highlights of COVID for me was one Saturday morning, I got the recording of your work at the Sylvie. I enjoyed my favorite breakfast, a waffle, with the concert in the background, and it just put a huge smile on my face. And that, I'm sure, Joe, was a Herculean effort between you and Sam Pavel and the whole team at the Chamber Orchestra and your board and the members to get it right. Talk more about, that innovative spirit, and how does that sort of move us forward with the organization, hopefully, as we get nearer to COVID's end?
Yeah. I think inherent in the nonprofit space, or more broadly mission-driven organizations, if you do it right and you rally everybody around the mission and what your purpose is, right? In our case, transformative experiences through music, especially in COVID, when isolation was the name of the game and we were yearning for connection. People go to music to find connection. So with that spirit in mind, it was the sort of the intrinsic fuel that kept us going as we had to do more with less and do things differently. So I think that was the genesis. We had this core belief that we had a reason to produce for our community and for the people that were suffering from COVID. And then, I could go into the details of just all the challenges to mount those productions, but every industry knows what that felt like in the moment. But I will point out, as we were going through these really extensive yet accelerated business plans, we always kept the pulse on, let's activate things that we think will be relevant on the other end of COVID, not only when we can bring back operations to full capacity, but where is the industry going to be going? So it was kind of a 3 parts, a core purpose around the mission. It was, with that, you can kind of identify a business plan that can allow you to do that, but also place small bets on where you think the industry is going to go, what the consumers are going to want, how you can impact the community in new and different ways. And history will tell us if the small bets we placed are going to have long-standing ramifications. But with that in mind, we just kept going. And, you didn't necessarily have time to second guess, because there's so much to do now to mount productions. But I can say unequivocally, we have an exceptional team from our community, board, staff, musicians that had this belief and allowed us to do what we did. So that's kind of brings us to today. And I think I forgot the second part of your question, but that's sort of tying the COVID tenure in a bow.
Yeah, actually, the second part was, kind of about Concerts on the Square. And honestly, you say transformative experiences through music. I'd be hard pressed to find a better example of that mission than Concerts on the Square. In your 38th season, it just creates this amazing, vibrant experience on the Capitol Square. You average over 200,000 people per season, a series of 6 concerts. It's really amazing and one of the signature events in downtown. Why is Concerts on the Square so important for the Chamber? And let's talk about this year. Why are you excited to get back on the Concert Square and have so many people out enjoying the space?
Well, I think first and foremost, and you touched on it really well. I mean, this is a community event. It's built up by the community. It's for the community. The Capitol Square is our home. As you noted, this is our 38th or 39th season. The first one was 1984. People, when I talk to Concerts on the Square has this buzz that everybody knows about it. And I think it has it because when people show up and experience it and see the people and see the impact of downtown, which I'm sure we'll talk about, there's this resonance, and it's kind of this defining event series in Madison that really encapsulates what it means to be a community and bringing people together. So for the Chamber Orchestra, it was a vision, 1984, of Pleasant Rowland and a few others to birth a free public event on the square with the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra. And I've only been involved with this organization for 2.5 years as their CEO, but I think there's this tenacity, institutional tenacity, to recognize the impact of this event on so many people, not just the 200,000 patrons, but all the businesses, all the musicians, all of the tourism dollars that come into the city, the tax revenue. So there's this tenacity. I mean, it's part of our fabric. And of course, it's what we're best known for. So to bring it back after a 2-year hiatus, on June 29th this year, it will have been 1,065 days since our last performance on the square. I think it's going to be a moment, and I feel that we're going to have to create space just to recognize before that first note is played, just what it means to be back.
You talk about the vibrancy that it creates, and this is so important for downtown, the economics of this. We hear from our restaurants and retail shops that 70% of their revenue comes from events like Concerts on the Square downtown. It can be Concerts on the Square, Taste of Madison, Farmers Market. But when you're running 200,000 people downtown, that is enormous. And sometimes, Joe, you're upwards of 50,000 people for one concert, right? I mean, that's a lot of people in one space.
Yeah, it's a big event, no question. And
am I scaring you a little bit? Sorry, as you're like prepared.
It's funny. No, I'm not scared. I'm fully prepared to bring this on with the team. Yeah, the economic impact, it's hard to quantify, tens of millions of dollars over the course of our tenure to be able to do this. I know that businesses were so happy to hear we came back to the square because, like you said, 70% of revenue comes from events like ours. So to be able to plan and to prepare their supply chain, to line up their clients that they need to connect with, for friends to come together, to all of the parking that's going to happen, all of the out of town guests that will be booking hotel rooms. The music is what brings people together. But when you think about what this means for the community and the tens of millions of dollars that it generates, it's quite an honor to steward this cultural event, knowing the impact that it has beyond just the 6 Wednesdays that we tee it up and bring it downtown.
Well, to run a free event, which I think is important, right? Because that takes so many barriers down to being able to participate. However, you and I both know that a free event is actually not free. So how are ways that DMI members can get involved with Concerts on the Square to help, or with the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra in general, to ensure that we continue to make this a free event that anyone in our community can participate in?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It costs us $1 million to do this, which is right now 40% of our budget. So we invest 40% of our budget, $1 million, into these 6 Wednesdays. The planning lead time is 10 months. It's funded by very generous sponsors. It's funded by concessions and vendor fees. It's funded by table reservations that businesses and individuals participate in. So when you think about, if you're a DMI member and you want to make sure this event continues to be a vibrant part of downtown, think about how you can engage your company, your families, in the table section. Support us through a table reservation. I know several of the DMI members are generous sponsors of the event. So that is our lifeblood. We get a little bit of public funding through a couple $1,000 grants for some of our guest artists, but it really is the private charitable contributions that fuel this engine. One plug I will say, and this extends to DMI members and everybody that participates, is we are launching a sustaining membership program. It's called the Friends of the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra. So it gives people the opportunity that they believe they want this to continue to be a sort of a free public good for the masses, but you want to be donors. You want to become charitable contributors of not only Concerts on the Square, but the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra. And we operate 12 months a year. There's an opportunity to become a friend of the orchestra with a very nominal monthly donation to sustain our work in the community and Concerts on the Square.
Well, Joe, sign me up. Can I be number one? No, I don't need to be number one. Just sign me up. Just sign me up. Sorry,
Okay.
I don't know why I made that about me all of a sudden, but yes, please, we need everyone helping out to make sure that this great event continues. Joe, I have a surprise for you as well, my friends.
Uh-oh.
At the end of every podcast, we have something called the Fast and Furious 5, where I ask you 5 questions about downtown, although one of my questions is not about downtown today. Can you just give the answer that's on the top of your head? You didn't know about this before, so no planning. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Don't worry, I'm not going to ask like your favorite child or something like that. Nothing hard. Let's learn a little bit more about Joe. Not only is Joe the head of the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra, but he was once a pro golfer and a scratch golfer. Unbelievable. Some people can do it all like Joe. What is your favorite course in Dane County to play
on? Bishop's Bay.
Good. I've never played it, so we'll have to play together. We'll have to find one of our nice members to play it with us. All right. So again, I mentioned Joe as a scratch golfer. He also is a concert cellist. Is it cellist or celloist? Cellist?
Cellist. Yeah, I think cellist.
Right. Okay. I don't know why I second guess myself. The favorite venue you've ever played at as a cellist?
Lawrence University Chapel, Appleton, Wisconsin.
My sister's alma mater. That's a very nice answer. What's your favorite downtown restaurant?
Great Dane.
All right. Same question I ask everybody. So if you've watched before, Joe, you'll know this is coming. What's your favorite ice cream flavor from Babcock?
Peanut butter chocolate.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm in with that one. Some people give some strange answers. That one, strange. It's all subjective. Never mind. Anyone that was on the podcast before, I apologize for insulting your ice cream flavor, but Joe had the right answer. So well done. All right. You bring a tourist to downtown. One day you have downtown. What activities and venues do you go to downtown to fill that day?
Before the concert?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I like just walking from upper state to lower state in a slow pace, just the smells, the sounds, the taste. So that's one activity. Just casual walk, just breathe in State Street. It's number one. I also like getting a slice at Ian's Pizza and going on the Lady Liberty side and just lay on the grass. So those are sort of a blended activity. I could say the lakes. Let me think. My favorite part of the lakes. Downtown. Can you include Orton Park and then walk down to the lake?
Yeah, it's within. We consider the Yahara and West to be downtown, so absolutely.
Actually, let me be have more specificity. If you can get your hands on an inflatable tube, drop in at East Washington and float down to Lake Monona where it opens up. And I just want you to lay on the top and just get close enough to the banks so you can see the overhanging branches. Don't go right in the center, maybe like 1/3 in on either side.
The specificity to this is amazing. Can you and I go on this day together?
Sure. It's one of my Madison summer staples is
I think we may have to call our friends at Destination Madison and put this on the list of experiences. I totally agree with that hanging tree in the water idea. Although, not the note to all of our listeners, I'm not the world's best swimmer. So if someone could go with me, that would be great for that. Joe, Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra, Concerts on the Square, thank you for all you do to create a vibrant, equitable, and welcoming downtown for everyone. You are a true innovator here in downtown. It's been great to get to know you over the last few years, and all of us at DMI, we're here to help. So Joe, thank you for joining us today on the Downtown Madison Happenings podcast.
Thank you so much. Appreciate all you do at DMI.
And thank you for listening, everyone. We really appreciate it. Our next Downtown Madison Happenings will be out soon. We want to thank our friends at Carlson Black for all of their help. We'll see you on the next podcast. Hope you have a great day. See you downtown. Talk to you soon. Bye now.